Oleg awoke, his eyes fluttering open as he indulged in a pleasant stretch. A slight ache throbbed in his head, perhaps a consequence of his eventful wedding day. Eagerly, he turned his head to bestow a tender morning kiss upon his young bride, only to be jolted with surprise. There, on the other side of the bed, lay a slumbering stranger. Squinting in the dim light, Oleg strained to recall where he had seen her before. With cautious steps, he approached the bed, mindful not to disturb the mysterious woman. Ah, yes, he recollected the encounter. The girl had been among the wedding guests, introduced by his wife, Sophia. Nastya, that was her name, his wife's cousin, or perhaps a distant relative. But what was she doing here? Just as Oleg pondered this perplexing situation, the girl stirred and blinked her eyes open. Her gaze darted around the room for a fleeting moment before landing on Oleg, causing her to sit up abruptly. "Who are you? What are you doing here? And where exactly are we?" she interrogated, her voice tinged with confusion. Oleg surveyed their surroundings, searching for answers. Where were they, indeed? "Are you Nastya?" he inquired, hoping to confirm his suspicion of her identity as Sophia's sister. "Why, yes," she stammered, clutching the blanket tightly to her chest, despite being fully clothed. "And you must be the groom," she recalled, piecing the puzzle together. "Fiancé," he corrected her gently. "Actually, husband now. But why are you in my bed?" Anastasia shook her head, her expression mirroring his bewilderment. "I have no idea," she admitted. "But it would be best if we left quickly before anyone finds us." Oleg nodded in agreement, swiftly grabbing his jacket from the chair's backrest. He glanced out into the hallway beyond the room, noting its length and numerous closed doors. They appeared to be lodged in a hotel of some sort. Turning to his unexpected companion, Oleg offered a reassurance. "It seems we needn't worry about anyone spotting us," he remarked. "I'm unfamiliar with this place as well." Nastya gingerly stepped off the bed, intentionally keeping her distance from Oleg as she made her way to the door. Oleg couldn't help but notice her reluctance to be near him. She, too, peered out into the hallway, searching for answers. "What is happening?" he questioned, his voice tinged with bewilderment. "I don't know," heaved Nastya, her hands gesturing helplessly. "What's the last thing you remember?" Nastya mused slowly. "I remember being at your wedding in the restaurant. I met a charming guy. I think he's a friend of yours. We were flirting, and he offered me champagne. And then, nothing." Oleg contemplated her words, trying to retrace his own memories. "I recall the registry office, the wedding dance with Sophia. We sat at the table, and my friend Anton joined me. We chatted, and that's all." Nastya gazed at him, her eyes searching for clues. Could it be that we were drugged? But why? She wondered aloud. "I don't know," Oleg admitted, "but we need to find out where we are. What are we going to tell Sophia? What about everyone else?" "We can discuss that later," Nastya suggested. "For now, let's go downstairs and figure out our location and if we're alone here." Exiting the room, Nastya and Oleg ventured into the corridor, swiftly locating the staircase that led to the first floor. They descended into a spacious hallway, and a wave of relief washed over Oleg as he realized they weren't alone. Several individuals occupied the lobby area, while a receptionist manned the counter. Oleg and Nastya approached him directly. "Good morning," Oleg greeted with a friendly smile. "We checked into your hotel yesterday, but, well, we don't remember anything. Could you please tell us how we ended up here? Perhaps we didn't arrive on our own." The receptionist strained to suppress a chuckle, his face showing amusement. "I apologize," he said, "but I just started my shift this morning, so I have no information about last night's guests. I could call my colleague and inquire, but you see, our hotel is located near the highway, and we usually have a considerable number of overnight visitors. It's uncertain whether he will remember you. However, if you can provide me with your room number, I can tell you what time you checked in." "All right, Let's do that, Oleg agreed, turning his attention to Nastya. Do you have a purse? Any identification? He inquired. Perplexed, Nastya shook her head. I have nothing, she replied. Oleg rummaged through the pockets of his jacket, finding only 300 rubles, and that was it. No phone, no documents. Could you also check who made the payment for our stay here? Oleg requested. The receptionist nodded, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. You booked a room yesterday evening around 6 o'clock and paid with a card immediately. Mim, your last name is Perepelkin, he confirmed. Yes, Oleg affirmed. And from what I can see, you also made a reservation. The payment was made from your card, the receptionist informed them. What nonsense, Oleg muttered under his breath. Perhaps after you were drugged, your passport and card were stolen, Nastya suggested. Maybe, but why? Oleg pondered. Turning back to the receptionist, he inquired about their arrival time. What time did we check in? He asked. Approximately around 12, the receptionist replied. Oleg furrowed his brow. And why did you check us in without any identification? He questioned. The receptionist's cheeks flushed slightly, betraying his embarrassment. He understands, Oleg muttered under his breath. It happens sometimes. And judging by your condition, he turned to Nastya. You were likely intoxicated yesterday. Apparently, my colleague neglected to ask for identification. Nastya, seeking a potential lead, inquired, do you have any surveillance cameras? Perhaps on the street? The receptionist shook his head. No, he replied with a hint of regret. We're not a luxury hotel that typically has such amenities. All right, Oleg sighed, accepting the limitations. How far are we from the nearest city, and which city is it? The receptionist's surprise was evident in his response. Are you serious? He exclaimed. Oh, my apologies. We are approximately 50 kilometers away from Tula. Well, thank goodness it's a city we're familiar with, Oleg remarked, relief evident in his voice. How can we get there? We can call a taxi for you, the receptionist offered. It's the most convenient option. However, if you're looking for a more economical choice, you can take a bus. The nearest bus stop is about a kilometer away. Oleg considered their financial predicament. We have no money, he admitted, but a taxi or bus will do. Where should we go in Tula? Oleg and Nastya boarded the bus, finding seats amidst the other passengers. Oleg broke the silence with a question. Do you remember anything? He asked Nastya. Perhaps any new names, or? Nastya shook her head, disappointment evident on her face. Nothing, she replied. And you? Nothing at all, Oleg responded, his voice tinged with confusion. It's all very strange. Nastya nodded in agreement. Do you remember where the wedding took place? The name of the restaurant? Its address? She inquired, seeking any sliver of clarity. Of course, Oleg confirmed, a glimmer of recognition crossing his face. I haven't completely lost my memory. I just can't recall the events of last night. All right, then let's go there, Nastya suggested. Oleg hesitated, considering their next move. I initially thought we should go to Sofia first, he admitted. Nastya sighed, her gaze fixed on the passing scenery outside the bus window. Look, Sofia and I aren't close friends. We don't have much of a relationship, she explained. I have no reason to be at her house. Someone orchestrated all of this, and I have no clue why. However, there's a small chance that your fiancé will never find out about us waking up together. I'm holding on to that chance, so let's go to the restaurant instead. Hopefully, we can find our belongings there, and that will mark the end of our unexpected adventure. I'll head home, and you can deal with it with your fiancé. Actually, our wedding was planned to last 2 days, Oleg explained. Today, we were supposed to gather at Sofia's parents' dacha. Weren't you invited? Nastya nodded, her expression troubled. Yes, we were invited, she replied. But given the circumstances, I think it's best for me to stay away from the dacha. Tell me, was there anyone opposed to your marriage with Sofia? Could someone have orchestrated this situation? Oleg sighed, his brow furrowed with deep thought. I've been asking myself that question every minute, he admitted. I can't find an answer. Even if someone was against our marriage, we were at the wedding, surrounded by people. How could they have orchestrated all of this? I simply don't know. Nastya empathetically nodded, understanding the frustration they both shared. After nearly 2 hours on the bus, the young couple arrived at the restaurant. Thankfully, they quickly located the restaurant manager and approached him. He confirmed that a wedding had indeed taken place at the venue the previous day, but assured them that no unpleasant incidents had occurred. Nastya pressed further, her voice hopeful. Has anyone reported lost items? She inquired. The manager furrowed his brows, pondering for a moment. Let me check our lost and found, he offered, stepping away briefly. Upon his return, he shook his head. I'm sorry, but we haven't received any reports of lost belongings. Oleg and Nastya exchanged disappointed glances, their hopes fading. Yes, there are a few items left, the manager replied with a hint of relief. Mostly small things like lipstick and a scarf. However, someone did leave behind a purse and documents. A few minutes later, Anastasia felt a wave of relief as she tightly clutched her bag to her chest. Everything was still intact, the keys to her apartment, her wallet, and even her phone, which either ran out of battery or was malfunctioning. Oleg also located his belongings, including his money, keys, and driver's license. However, his passport was nowhere to be found. Are you certain you didn't leave it at Sophia's yesterday? Or perhaps entrusted it to a relative for safekeeping? Nastya suggested, trying to explore all possibilities. I'm sure I had both passports with me. Sophia trusted me as the head of our family, Oleg responded, his frustration evident. Nastya's expression turned grave. That's really unfortunate, she remarked. What about your phone? Have you checked it? It's not turning on, just like yours, Oleg replied. I could try charging it, but I don't want to waste time. Sophia must be incredibly worried by now. I'll go straight to her. Nastya nodded understandingly. All right, she said. Before you go, let me give you my contact information. If everything goes well, just send me a text. But if you encounter any difficulties, don't hesitate to call me. We'll find a way to navigate this situation together since we're in the same boat. Oleg expressed his gratitude with a nod. Thank you, Nastya, he said sincerely. He carefully placed the paper with Nastya's number in his pocket and hurried to his car, feeling a sense of urgency. The sooner he saw Sophia and understood the situation, the better. Oleg drove straight to Sophia's parents' dacha, guided by the distant sounds of music. As he arrived, he couldn't believe his eyes. People were joyfully dancing on the lawn. The tantalizing aroma of barbecued kebabs filled the air, and tables were adorned under a large awning. However, there was no sign of Sophia. As Oleg made his way towards the house, people greeted him as if his presence was expected, which perplexed him. How did Sophia's parents explain the absence of their newlywed husband on the second day of the wedding festivities? Finally, Oleg spotted Sophia standing on the covered veranda, her gaze fixed thoughtfully out the window. He approached her eagerly, calling out her name. Sophia, Sophia, it's me, he exclaimed. She turned towards him, a slight smile gracing her lips. Hi, she greeted. Well done for coming. Oleg felt a mix of relief and confusion. Sophia, I'm sorry. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what's going on, he confessed, his voice filled with genuine remorse. Sophia looked at him with a perplexed expression. Why are you asking for forgiveness? She questioned. For leaving the wedding. For leaving you, my wife, without any explanation, Oleg explained, his voice tinged with regret. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise. My wife, she echoed, her voice filled with disbelief. But we're not married. Not married, Oleg repeated, his voice filled with disbelief. Sophia, what are you talking about? Today is the second day of our wedding celebration. Sophia nodded, her expression reflecting a mix of confusion and concern. Yes, I remember our wedding too, she said, her voice tinged with sadness. I remember the registry office, the restaurant, the dancing, but then everything becomes a blur. When I woke up this morning, I was alone. I started wondering where you had gone, and then Anton walked in. He brought me breakfast and tried to get close to me to kiss me. I pushed him away, Sophia explained, her voice trembling. She nervously twirled a strand of her hair around her fingers. He was shocked and asked why I wouldn't let him kiss his own wife. Oleg's mind was spinning, struggling to comprehend the situation. Are you sure you didn't mistake him for me? He asked, desperately hoping it was some cruel prank or misunderstanding. No, Oleg, I didn't mistake him for you, Sophia insisted, her eyes filled with sincerity. Believe me, I shouted at him, demanded an explanation. That's why I'm here and not with the guests. My mother thought I needed some time alone to calm down. They were even considering taking me to the doctor, but they decided to wait, hoping that my memory would return. Oleg's heart sank as he realized the gravity of the situation. It wasn't a simple mix-up or a joke. Something had gone terribly wrong, and their wedding had been disrupted by an inexplicable turn of events. The sense of unease grew within him as he wondered who or what could have caused such confusion and turmoil. Oleg's hands trembled as he held Sophia's passport and saw the marriage stamp confirming her union with Anton. The weight of the situation pressed heavily upon him, and he struggled to process the reality before him. But this can't be, Oleg whispered, his voice filled with disbelief and desperation. Sophia nodded, her eyes welling up with tears. I thought the same, Oleg, she murmured, her voice laced with sadness. It doesn't make any sense to me neither. How could this happen? How could I be married to Anton? As Oleg continued to examine the passport, he couldn't deny the official stamp and the evidence it presented. It was as if their lives had been turned upside down in an instant, leaving them grappling with a baffling and disorienting truth. We need to find out what happened, Oleg said, his voice resolute. We need answers, Sophia. We can't just accept this without understanding how and why it happened. Sophia nodded, her face reflecting a mix of determination and uncertainty. You're right, she agreed, wiping away a tear. We can't let this confusion consume us. We need to investigate, to uncover the truth. With a renewed sense of purpose, Oleg and Sophia resolved to delve deeper into the perplexing circumstances that had led to their current predicament. They would search for any clues, photographs, or accounts from witnesses that could shed light on the inexplicable turn of events. Together, they would face this bewildering situation head-on, determined to uncover the secrets behind their disrupted wedding and reclaim the truth of their love. Thank goodness, it was just a dream, Oleg murmured, his heart still racing from the intensity of the imagined events. He quickly dialed Sophia's number, hoping to hear her familiar voice and reassure himself of the upcoming joyous occasion. The phone rang for a moment before Sophia's voice came through, filled with a mix of excitement and anticipation. Oleg, is that you? I can't believe it's our wedding day. Relief flooded Oleg's being as he listened to her words. Yes, Sophia, it's me, he replied, his voice filled with warmth and happiness. I can't wait to marry you today. I had the most bizarre dream, and it made me realize how much you mean to me. Sophia chuckled softly. Dreams can be strange sometimes, but what matters is that we're here together, ready to embark on this beautiful journey. I love you, Oleg. I love you too, Sophia, Oleg said, his voice brimming with genuine affection. Today is the start of our forever, and I couldn't be more grateful and excited. As Oleg ended the call, he couldn't help but reflect on the surreal nature of dreams and the power they held over one's emotions. He felt a renewed appreciation for the present moment and the love he and Sophia shared. With a smile on his face and a sense of anticipation in his heart, Oleg began to prepare for the momentous occasion that awaited him. A wedding filled with love, joy, and the promise of a future together with the woman of his dreams. Nice to meet you, Nastya, Oleg managed to say, trying to compose himself despite the swirling emotions inside him. He extended his hand to greet her, feeling a mix of confusion and relief that his dream remained confined to his subconscious. Nastya shook his hand with a warm smile. Congratulations on your wedding, Oleg. Sophia has told me so much about you. Oleg forced a smile, his mind still racing to reconcile the vivid images of his dream with the reality before him. He couldn't help but wonder about the uncanny parallels between the dream and his current situation. However, he reminded himself that dreams were merely figments of the imagination, and that reality held a firm grip on his present circumstances. As the day progressed, Oleg found himself immersed in the joyous celebration of their union. He watched as Sophia radiated happiness, surrounded by loved ones and friends who had gathered to witness their commitment. The warmth and support from their families enveloped them, erasing any lingering doubts from Oleg's mind. In the midst of the festivities, Oleg stole glances at Nastya, Sophia's cousin, who seemed to exude a sense of familiarity. They exchanged friendly conversation and laughter, their connection growing as the day unfolded. Oleg couldn't help but appreciate Nastya's presence, which served as a comforting reminder that dreams, no matter how vivid, were separate from reality. As the evening wore on, Oleg found solace in the fact that his dream had remained just that, a dream. He took Sophia's hand in his, feeling the strength of their love and the certainty of their shared future. The events of the dream gradually faded into the background, replaced by the real and tangible moments unfolding in front of him. With renewed conviction and a heart filled with love, Oleg embraced the present moment, leaving the unreal shadows of his dream behind. Surrounded by the love and support of his new wife, Sophia, and their families, Oleg knew that he had found his true happiness and that their journey together was just beginning.